Hey everyone, it's Dan Sparrow from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Today's going to be a quick blog post. I got a question that we're going to probably touch up on much later in bigger interviews, but it's about the academic institutions that do studies and do they spend more money than the private clinics? And the answer, at least in my opinion, is yes, usually they do, and that's because the smaller clinics, like Southwest Clinical Trials, we usually have just enough staff to take care of the studies that we have going on, and then we have a couple of the back office people who do the business side of things, marketing. You got people like myself and Don. At the universities, just by comparison, one of our monitors, she's a monitor at one of our sites, Southwest Clinical Trials. She's also a monitor at a large hospital setting. I think it's an academic institution. And for the same study, we're both doing the exact same study. Our site has maybe 4 sub-investigators. She told me that this hospital setting, I think it's an academic institution, has about 33 sub-investigators. And when you look at the enrollment numbers, we're actually enrolling more people than they are. So that kind of shows you, I mean, I'm not saying that's true all the time for all studies, but it kind of shows you a little bit about how funding is being allocated. And I'm not saying that these academic institutions are not good or don't know what they're doing, but sometimes they get caught up in situations where they overspend when they don't have to, whereas a private clinic may never spend funds for certain things that academic institutions do all the time, and sometimes it's because they have to. They have regulations that they have to follow that we don't have. But perfect example is like somebody sent me and asked me my opinion on a particular software that an academic institution was using for their clinical trials to monitor their billing and how much payments they're getting and where their expenses are going. And it was like an expensive software. It was like 5 digits, maybe even six figures. And a company like mine would never even consider using something like that. We'd rather use QuickBooks or something like off the shelf that you can just customize. It does the same thing, but I think some of these academic institutions get caught up in situations where they have to be so compliant and follow all these different regulations, and that's another reason why the majority of clinical trials are done at private institutions now as opposed to the academic institutions, whereas just maybe a couple of decades ago or even 1 decade ago, most studies were done at academic institutions. So it's kind of like another blog post on the difference between private and academic clinical trial institutions. And for those study participants out there, the academic institutions and the private institutions, they're both going to take care of you as a patient, as a study participant. I mean, they may take very good care of you at an academic institution because they've got so many staff members. But certainly at a private clinic like Southwest Clinical Trials, we definitely take very good care of our participants because we're a small company. So just having another study participant enroll in our studies is big for us. And for the academic institutions, they've got different incentives, but their goal is still to take care of the study participant and ensure that everything is going smoothly and that you're safe and protected at all times. And your safety is the number one thing of importance for both private clinics and academic institutions. But for those of you who are actually working in the industry, you might find this useful. And let me know what you guys think. Do academic institutions overspend in areas where private clinics would never even get into? Let me know. And then is it necessary? And then a follow-up question would be, is it worth it? And is it efficient? Let me know what you guys think. www.theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thanks a lot.